capture the energy field, and the entire universe is nothing but a field of attention, actually. Or that is called attention. But attention as a word, okay, it has the meaning like you did said in the previous session. It has a lot of theories, and a lot of people seem to understand that. And they look into a piece of poem, they say they are attending to that poem, they are paying attention to something they do, and so on and so forth. Beyond that, there is no clarity. And those who coincidentally develop the power of attention, they understand everything faster and quicker and in clear details. You know, even you use the term attention to details. Attention is everything. You can even say even the cell membrane carries the property of attention. So, attention is a major topic of discussion, major topic you have to all comprehend very consciously, very. It may take some effort even then. You have to do research on attention in the laboratory of your own entity. At the point when you master attention, you will have mastered a great lot of competencies, and I would say you would understand everything where your attention falls upon. What else? You look at a tree, you look at a flower. So what communicates the tree or its properties to you, to the mystic or to the rishi? It is attention. And that is called attention. Or we have to redefine attention from that perspective. Or we have to put another term for that. There is no need of it. So attention is the critical engine of the entity. And it is there with all the entities which we discussed the other day, even with an amoeba, even with an ant. Forget about the attention properties of the material world. Forget about the attention of the planetary configurations. So there is attention at that level. We will not know whether the attention of somebody else fall upon us, Similarly, we cannot easily know whether the attention of the planet Earth is falling upon us, whether the attention of the trees and the flowers and the rain and the mist and the mountains fall upon us. We cannot know.
So can I interject there with an observation?
Yeah, observation is a much more generic term. Okay, observation includes when you observe. Okay, you have gone to a mountain top. You are observing the surroundings. It's a very general term, observation. You look around, you hear around, you feel around. But what is operating, that operating engine throughout is that energy of attention.
What I wanted to say was that there were many times when you are in an environment which is with a lot of people, you suddenly turn around and you look into the eyes of somebody who has been looking at you.
Yeah, that's, of course, a lot of people, almost everybody might have had that moment of experience. But that is not the only evidence. For example, you yourself would look at many people walking along the road, but they don't turn back. But you really looked at them, you really looked at them to know who is that. But he may not know that. Okay.
Another scenario I've noticed is many times when I think about somebody, maybe very immediately there is a connect, either they are in the news or I meet them or they call me something of that sort.
Yeah, that means your attention has gone beyond a certain normal level, no doubt, that is why. So because you started talking about it, I have about 10, 13 idea clusters to talk about. or we will extend the sessions on attention, because it is to be clearly covered in knowing, and the doing you have to do. When you mentioned that, Tintin, that comes under the conventional psychological domain called extrasensory perception, ESP. Heard of it?
Yes, sir.
Yeah,
Yes.
Naveen must
Yes.
have, definitely.
Yeah.
Naveen must have heard of it. Vinay heard of it, ESP? Yeah, of course. Parvati?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, okay. So what Tintin talked about is the rudimentary projections of what may be called extrasensory perception or ESP. When someone thinks about somebody, immediately a call comes and you say, I was about to talk to you, and he also says, yeah, I was thinking about you to make a call to you, okay. A lot of normal people would explain it away, saying that it is a sheer coincidence. No, it is a potential coincidentally operating in certain individuals. But it can be consciously developed to a great extent. But what I would suggest is develop your attention to the entities and things and phenomena in the nature process. If you train yourself in attention to the details of other human beings, it is very likely to be putting you into some unpleasant experiences. Better not to do so. All right. So extrasensory perception, there are a lot of research on that. There is a field in psychology called parapsychology, which is exclusively on this kind of phenomenon which Tintin said. It includes knowing things happening in distances. In fact, there is even a method of therapy called Reiki, R-E-I-K-I, developed by a Japanese, originally by a monk, but popularized by another person, I forgot the name. What is Reiki? By your attention energy, someone calls, let us say he is in Tokyo, someone is sitting in New Delhi, and he calls him and says, I have a headache, will you please cure it? And he does something and it is cured. And about 10 years back or so, it was very well known in India. There were a lot of Reiki masters, Reiki training centers. But unfortunately, that cannot be done that easily in a classroom kind of a thing. It needs tremendous power of the intellect, tremendous attention power. And something connected with that is the power to cure. Like you must have heard about the ancient rishis. They say something and it happens. Everything is actually done by attention. Attention is the core engine which we discussed. So that's why you have to master your attention. And unfortunately it is an energy thing, and therefore the configuration, the integration, let us say the real health of the body. Real health I mean integration of all the system functions, the clarity of the cellular process. That is called health. Not necessarily any particular illnesses or any damage. One can have even serious illnesses but attention intact. So, let us not think about, when Tintin mentioned that, I remembered the concept of extrasensory. Extrasensory. Because most of the time all attention is controlled by sense data. So, this idea or a recurrence or a perception happens without apparently any involvement, any of the sense organs or any data. So that kind of thing is called extrasensory perception. And parapsychology is the field in psychology which does elaborate studies on that, and now increasingly a lot of studies are going on. And because other fields are supposedly covered, therefore dreams, even dreams come under extrasensory perception. But dream, not dream per se, but indicators or signals in the dream. Of course, in fact, a dream is an extrasensory event. You can very well remember how clear. You can see colors, you can feel, you can smell, you can even taste, you can even really feel on your skin somebody touching in dreams. So dreams are also really extrasensory phenomena. There are no sense data of any known kind or any identifiable kind when that is actually happening within the system. Very really. And by the way, when you train your attention, you will get access to your dreaming also. Dreaming as an activity you consciously do, not dreaming as a process going on, but dreaming as a verb, as an activity you can consciously choose to do, to get access into and utilize for many other purposes if you have. Everything is through attention only. In order for all these things, you have to know the real intent, intent, I-N-T, and a new term which we have not discussed this time. Intent is a unique word, but intention is very well known. Intent also is known. Intent here is a kind of a moment of consciousness with a certain goal, with a certain target, with a certain idea, with a certain attitude or orientation. People say, I intend to have a cup of tea. Yeah, that also somewhat okay. But this intent is connected with the term intentionality. I-N-T-E-N-T-I-O-N-A-L-I-T. Intentionality is a very core, very deeper concept in philosophy. And nobody talks about that, especially the West cannot really go much further into that because it is very deep. But nevertheless, it was developed by a Western colleague by name Franz Brentano, F-R-A-N-Z-B-R-E-N-T-A-N-O. He was basically a phenomenologist or who believed in the universe as nothing but a totality of phenomena. Intentionality is too big, therefore almost I would say none of the psychological fraternity of that time could not even tolerate such a concept. Intentionality is a kind of an orientation, kind of an initiative, kind of a motive. That is okay. But he said there is intentionality even with your pencil, pen, chair, man-made things also. Not only stones and trees and plants and birds and mountains, but even for man-made things there is intentionality. Whenever a certain thing is formed in its relative totality, it develops an intent as a side product. Like when the cellular assemblies achieve a certain buoyancy, a certain state, suddenly the emergence of consciousness. Similarly, intentionality, rather the ability to have intents, is there even with objects. In other words, according to Franz Brentano, if a pen is to do something on its own, it will do writing. That is intentionality. A stone is not doing anything, but nevertheless it has an intentionality. That's what Franz Brentano said, but you can know everything is particle energy, wave forms and transformations, so even stone is a live piece. So we can say even a subatomic particle has its intentionality, therefore it changes into wave and comes back into particle form. Oh, these are all nucleic realities of the universe. We don't know we can just know it. We can expand our knowing to include these things. Other than that, there may not be any advantage in a practical sense. But we are not sure. All of this may be working behind every doing also. Like Narayan Karthikeyan said, at 350 kilometers per hour, I am not driving the car, I am driving myself. So it is not a given thing that is driving things behind it. Everything, every phenomenon, every entity in this world is actually moving actually existing or actually working because of something else only. A thing cannot act itself. Something else is driving the action. So, intent here is about giving a direction to that attention, precisely. So, we discussed a little bit about intent and intentionality. Why intent comes here is because, let us say, majority of the time, our attention is remote controlled by the stimuli or the details or some changes or some triggering aspect in the environment. And we are almost forced to focus attention on that. In fact, the word unknowingly in English is to pay attention. No? That means to give attention. So, those things in the environment sometimes may demand your attention. And you go on focusing upon that. However, all the time there is an attention field covering the internal process also. See, right now you are hearing my sound only, but it is converted into perception of words. Leading to cognition. Cognition meaning you comprehend what is being told. Sensation meaning you heard the sound. Perception means you perceive that something is told, but you don't know what is being told. Like if I talk in Japanese or Russian or French, you perceive that something is told, but you have not cognized it, cognition. These are all topics in psychology, starting with sensation, then second chapter attention, next chapter perception, next chapter cognition, next chapter thinking, and so on. Actually, all these are supervised by attention, understand? Okay? Sensation, let us say so. A song is being played there. You don't even hear that. In the beginning you may hear, then you don't hear that. In fact, whenever now I am as a pastime, I sing in the Smule program, and then most of the songs I sing only whatever I know. I don't learn a song or sing. I don't practice or anything. I just like that sing only. I don't want to waste time on that. Then sometimes by singing I develop some familiarity with some of the good singers. Then when that singer is singing some 4 or 5 invites, none of them is known to me, then I decide that at least one I would sing with this person. Then I just hear it. Then I realize that one of them is really very good song. But I have heard it many times. But I heard it meaning, I begin, when I really introspect, I begin the first word. Nothing else is heard, actually. So, sensation, because the attention was not there, see. Then comes perception. Only if attention is given to something, then only there will be perception. And when with some kind of an attention, with an intent to learn that song, then there is a cognition applied with an intent to understand the pitch variation or the so-called tune of that song. As a result, the tune is cognized. So I am just talking about examples of sensation, perception and cognition. And I said, the critical point is that unless there is the intent intent-backed attention, whatever is in the field will not be cognized. Cognized meaning, let us say in simple language, comprehended or understood, etc., etc. That is called cognition. Cognition is a little scientific term, that's all. Like recognize, recognize, called recognition, recognize. You saw somebody on the road, you recognize him as the friend who studied with you in the engineering college. Recognize. So cognition. Then there will be a parallel thinking automatically going on in the stream of consciousness. That also may not be given attention to. Even without attention, you may say, oh yeah, he is my friend who has been there in the college. Okay? All these are critical aspects in psychology. So, psychology is nothing very great. All these things are explained and explained and explained, and many theories are offered. That is the field of psychology. So, topic is that intentful attention. Intent meaning, intent is on your part. As I observe the cats and the birds and other animals, every moment they have only intentful attention. Okay, their attention is triggered by external objects like some people moving or some other animal moving around or whatever, but their attention is naturally driven by their intent. Therefore, they get all the details. Because of our training and taken for granted attitude, our attention is very minimal, very peripheral. So, how to get into that intentful attention? What do you think? What are the methods you think? Now, if you understood what is intent and what is attention, attention cannot be understood in that sense. Attention is nothing but an energy field, whether you know about it or not, it is there. Luckily, it is there operating in full form. Now, how do you utilize that full powered engine? Of course, full power may not be there. As I told before, it needs the integration of the body processes. Rather, the power of the central nervous system is very critical. You might have heard about modern, currently identified problem with children called what you call ADS, right? Attention Deficit Syndrome. This is not a symptom. A syndrome is nothing but a collection of symptoms. Symptoms of certain problem, symptoms of some other problem, symptoms of some other problem, all this together. This is called a syndrome. Attention Deficit Syndrome. So they will be given some tablets and things like that. And there are great rasayanas by which it can be completely redeemed and all that. That's a different point. So, by which only I understood. Because I understood the rasayana, I understood the attention thing, which is completely a property of the central nervous system, meaning not autonomic nervous system, but the cortical region, cortical and subcortical regions. And definitely, without the cooperation of autonomic nervous system, nothing is possible. Autonomic nervous system also has some role. It is not disconnected. So, attention deficit syndrome. I would say a great majority have that, actually. I remember an incident that happened in Kochi refineries when I was there in Kerala, Kochi, Ernakulam. A young graduate engineer trainee, anyway, he died inside the generator room or something like that of the refineries. So there was some defect noticed, and so the generator room is completely covered, and there was an iron door, and he opened the door and got inside, and the door automatically closes. I don't know that detail whether automatically closed or not. Anyway, when he was inside, the door got closed, and he could not open it, and it was completely dark inside, and some fumes and all these things were coming, and it was becoming quickly becoming more and more poisonous. And he banged on the door, all these things, and he died inside. And when the investigation team went there, just 1 foot away there was an open door. He did not see that. That's called the panic syndrome. Panic, when the absolute turmoil of attention. Nobody, the individual concerned does not know anything, absolutely becomes blind and paralyzed. In fact, most of the accidents also happen like that only. When the brake goes out of control or steering or whatever goes out of control, the driver becomes panicky and he does not know what exactly to do. Then there is a time gap, time delay. By the time it happens, the driver becomes an observer of the event. Okay, he doesn't have the presence of. There are other words like a presence of mind and all that. Anyway, whatever it is, these are all dialogues about attention. Entire life, survival, sustenance activities are actually governed by attention only. Just imagine, think. Every moment of you is governed by attention only. For example, mental illness, serious mental illnesses, especially. There are two primary categories of mental illness. One is called neurosis and the other is called psychosis. Psychosis are serious mental illnesses. Neuroses are very relatively mild mental malfunctions by which anyway the individual's life, work, relationship, activities may be suffering but not in a visible serious extent, like obsessive compulsive neurosis or anxiety neurosis and I don't know what other neurosis, all mild neurosis. But for psychosis, psychosis, psychosis in plural, like manic depressive psychosis or schizophrenia or whatever, there are so many psychoses anyway. The main symptom is what you call attention disorder. Their attention has gone haywire. On one time on one topic, then on another topic, then on one subject, whatever is visible, it's all, they have lost what you call that central, independent, central control of attention. Everything in the environment is quickly taking precedence. There is no queuing. Everything is is taken. Where normal individuals are able to choose. But for the mentally disturbed individuals, they cannot control their attention process. The intent has gone completely, maybe completely vanished. We have our intent still working behind. Okay, I am looking at that girl only. No, stop. Even whatever is happening behind this curtain, and you look only at the girl, or you look only at the film. For example, in a film theatre, why? One has to enter into the hall, close all the doors and the lights off, and you have to sit straight looking at the screen. Then only, that's why that film is so effectively impinging upon your sensations and perceptions and cognitions, and thereby your emotions and feelings and so on and so forth. If you even talk to your friend for a few seconds, your connection will be lost. So you want to maintain that intent to watch that film, then only attention will capture it. Whereas a so-called what you call academically poor student, his intent is not in his control. He has lost that relative control on the intent. Maximum control is by the external variables. Like a film, he can look at a film for 3 hours, but he cannot look at a piece of poetry even for 3 minutes. The intent is gone. Even when he really wants to, the will is there. He really wants to do it because tomorrow is the exam. These are all for comprehension only. All these ideas you have to use to identify how that intent is operating inside you, how you have to get that intent under your control. A lot of evolution is possible only when attention is under control. So-called gateless gate can be opened only by that. In fact, in Zen, they give a lot of importance to attention, and they say unless you practice your attention to that 0 point level, zero mistake, And they even use a metaphoric statement like which I have mentioned before. You are constantly looking through a hole to see the passing horse on the other side of the wall. And when the horse is passing, you may blink. So the intent should be as sharp and steady that you should not even blink. Not necessarily with the eyes, but with the mind. To an extent, this is what in normal theories of communication they talk about listening. There is a lot of training programs on listening. And most of the time I have observed the participants are all wondering. They are all listening. But nothing is happening. Today there is a small incident in the beginning. When I asked Tintin said he is somewhere else. When I asked where in Kerala, sorry, he asked, are you in Kerala? The question was very clear. Then Tintin said, in Nilambur. Either he did not, his intent was not in considering the details of the question, point number one. Point number two, taking it for granted as an ordinary question. Because these are the normal questions, how are you, where are you, what are you, etc. And thirdly, he did not focus his attention on what he was replying. If Vinay was not aware of Nilambur as a place in Kerala, it is as if, are you in Kerala? No, in Nilambur. Nilambur meaning adjacent state. Nilambur is a place in Kerala only. So he could have asked, oh, Nilambur, I see, where is it? No, he may not ask, he may think, whatever. But whether he thinks or not, it is our responsibility, our commitment to the integrity of our engines of intellect to be all the time sharp. And only human beings take all of them for granted, understand, not even a cat or a bird, not even your automobile engine. One single stalk missing, you will be in trouble. You will say the engine is not okay. With every instrument you purchase, you want a perfect approximation to your instructions. Every pen, pencil, cloth, bike, car, mobile, whatever things, furniture, domestic utensils, curtain, cloth, everything is chosen even by very ordinary people with utmost, I don't know what makes them do that. Whether they turn back their attention to their own self in what, is there a single activity of them anywhere near in that perfection of a pencil? See? That is why people are all depressed. That's why people are all suffering. An integrated system just cannot undergo suffering. Suffering is not because of poverty or lack of money or anything. It is a process of the mind. A weak mind. The mind becomes weak by the lack of power of attention. And power of attention is powerless because the body is not powerful. The body is not sound. Why not drunken driving? Why say you should not talk on mobile when you drive? Because attention is a little bit divided there. We don't know what the other person on the phone would be talking in between. Like I hear a song and I don't remember any words of that because my attention is not there. I just hear that. Hearing the song becomes the driving and listening to the talk of the friend becomes the activity. Then the attention is reduced to the driving. But that's only a point to make. But of course you can train yourself to do many things and drive also, provided you train it. So intent and attention. So identify your attention when you talk to people, when other people talk to you, when you watch a film, every moment, when you cook a cup of tea or when you are talking to anyone, when you are doing a work, okay, you are doing the work, then what is your attention doing? You can direct your attention to the totality of the you sitting there and doing it also. Do that. And when you develop that, even in your deep sleep, if somebody enters your room, you will immediately know. And you will even develop extrasensory perception. Even without looking at that person, you will know who has entered your room. See the power of attention. The modern people just cannot know who is having a malintention to approach you, especially girls. Girls should be really trained in attention. In Kerala state, so many murders and rapes are reported almost every day now. Almost every day. Just the latest case, one well-known guy, he is very well-known in Instagram, whatever it is, and a very handsome kind of a guy, and he apparently so-called made a girl his friend, and they both were working in the same department store, and he borrowed money from her and gold from her worth something like 12 lakh, alright? And she is already married, and she demanded the money and he didn't have the money to pay, and so on and so forth, and love was going on. And just 3 days back, from a rented car, he took a very high-end car and they travelled to a distant place, and they walked into the forest. They walked into the forest, both of them together. And reaching a very deep corner of the forest, he took her own soul and strangled her and brutally killed her to ensure that she did. And I am wondering, this idiot girl, she could not realize any trace of anything in his behavior, in his dialogues, in his expressions, in his responses. Okay? So, just like that, I am just giving an example. These are all, for example, they are all not applicable to you to understand how people's attentions are moving around. Let me tell you, I could gather some 14 subjects in 40 days, let me tell you, because of the power of my attention only. The fact that there is attention deficit syndrome, that itself is an evidence that there is a highest possibility of attention also. Like an extreme, the range, everything has a range, a spectrum. So on one side there is attention deficit syndrome, it is a mild level, on one side there is schizophrenia, absolute loss of, but schizophrenia we cannot say lack of attention. But okay, absolutely out of control. So, in general attention, absolute lack of attention is attention deficit syndrome on one side, and on the other side there must be the attention of the mystic, of the Patanjali, of Bruce Lee, of that level must be there. Why can't you access it? Just don't live life in a taken for granted way, every day repeating the same thing. Unfortunately, we have to do for our economic survival. Okay, no problem. But take every day as a new day. That's our attention process. Take every activity, as a new activity, even if you are doing it in the 10,000th time. That can be decided by our intent of attention. If Tintin had that intent of attention on his dialogue to an ordinary, so-called a normal question, where are you? He took it as a normal question. It is not a tough thing. It is possible with a child starts with nothing but attention. Attention was the only tool of the child, little baby, till it developed a language. So, intent and attention. And only when a child is manipulated, a child is trained wrongly by the mother, the father, especially the mother. Mother has a great role, supreme role in role in corrupting and raping the attention of the child. Let me say that word. By overprotecting it and by taking all its attention to so-called possessive behaviors of various kinds, especially in today's time, living in apartments, in the four walls of apartments, where only electronic mechanical things are present and other mechanical arrangement and setting, Unfortunately, there is a system sitting in schools marking up subjects, you get total good marks and you get into a job. Job also is systematized and therefore they do it and they think it is their bloody competency. Nothing. It's all set by highly creative people. So anybody can do any job in any organization. Of course, not in medical subjects where some amount of practice is required. And there are so many doctors who can be doing wonderful, but they were not medical students. They are called quack doctors, but that's a different issue. So we are talking about genius itself. I am talking about the genius mode. On one side is the attention deficit syndrome, and the other side is the genius level of attention. The cat's attention, the butterfly's attention, the bird's attention, or the attention of a simple so-called cell membrane, of noticing what is to go inside and what is to go outside. It may be explained chemically. That's a different issue. These are also chemical. We are also a chemical being. Am I right, Vinay? 100%. We are nothing but a biochemical entity. Let us say fully biochemical electrical entity. 100%. Not even 99.9%. And that original attention of the child is completely gone for by imposed education, imposed instructions, imposed controls on the child. Child doesn't have to focus attention and develop itself. Even inside that room, everything is told. That is why, my dear friends, all inventions and discoveries and creations and poetry and film and dance and music by people who had experimented with their, not consciously, unconsciously, coincidentally, luckily. They interacted with the nature process, all of them. All of them grew up independently. They were all from non-discrete, poor, haywire kind of families. Nobody was there to take care of them. Luckily, let me say so. They depended on their own attention to develop themselves and to do things in the world. Rather, they had somehow, unknowingly, they got that intentful attention. Rather, the source of attention was under their control. They got it under their control. If they don't realize it, they are talking about in a scientific way. That's all. So, now, how to train intent attention? These are all things to be trained. This is a thing that you have to train yourself. Look at even the most familiar object with your intent. Of course, you can see. Don't stop at seeing. Look at them. Look at everything. Even when you are sitting in your office room, if you have a pen in your hand, just look at it. Our so-called egoistic logic feels funny about it. What is there to know more about that? You will not see anything more. You will not know anything more. But see, the attention of the creature is continuously flowing to that. That's what we want to get. We want to train our attention steadily flowing into something. Not necessarily to know everything about this. And when it is required, it will steadily flow into something and it will penetrate by the requirement and necessity of the time, and it will do what it is required to be done. So start with looking at objects. And to ideally with the simple objects. Feel the pencil with your closed eyes. Okay. Nothing new will be there, no doubt about that. But make it your habit. Make it because you also then there are many other consequences also. Not only this. Then you become an original creature of this planet Earth, not taking anything for granted. I told you the greatest tragedy of modern human beings is that taking for granted attitude. Everything is known. For a genius, everything is unknown, let us say so. Everything is a mystery for a genius. From the pencil tip to the color of the pencil, to the wood of the pencil, to the design of the pencil, to the structure of the pencil, the way it is being used and the way it is working. A lot of people focus attention on something new, of course, because they have not seen that, they just look at it. They go to exhibitions and see new things, new machines, etc., etc. That's all. When you have that kind of an intentful attention, you will know what questions to ask to what person at what level. Go on looking. If you are in the office room, if someone comes, your colleague comes, your boss comes, you just look. Because look is an external manifestation of your attention. Of course, it is a sensation-driven aspect, like in the first day itself, Tintin mentioned, it's all sensation-driven attention. We come to internal attention, like attention to your thoughts, your own thoughts. Attention upon the falling stones of your own thoughts. Okay, before that, attention on the falling lines in the wonderful book that you read. No book will write everything. It is not possible to write everything. When you write, then you will know. So how will you know that which is not written? By your attention through the available falling apples in the book. That is, so of this, yes, you see, okay, in your office or in your other places, you focus your attention on context. Context. Do you understand context?
It's 22:30.
Yeah, context. The context is, for me, I see the screen in front of me, there is a table, there is the light, etc., etc. That's a context. Supported by other, always there are three linkages, supported by the other contextual factors like the intent, the purpose of our sitting here, and the thought process you apply. Tintin is sitting in a context where there are other people, he is in a different house, some function is going on, that is his context. These are all primarily to train your attention because you cannot go into a controlled situation. Why the ancient what you call Gurukulas were in a forest kind of a region? Why the mystics and rishis went to the deep mountainous forest? Because this I have told you, a forest is always mysterious. You can never be sure about anything in the forest, deep dark forest. It's always strange, always ambiguous, always magically mysterious. Attention has to be all the time alert, so-called alert. With effortless alertness, not a tight alertness. The tightly attention you will get tired. You have to be free with that attention, like a cat, like a bird. And this is the way to train it. That you don't train it because we have been trained to take everything for granted, that is why. How you observe the look of a child to a person, even to the mother figure, to the father figure, to a stranger, a visitor. Observe the child, the way he looks at the stranger coming into the room. Oh, what a wide open eyes. What a brilliant expression on its face. It is nothing but attention. Attention personified is a developing little baby. Be that baby, be that child. There is a definition of creativity. There are hundreds of definitions. Each one of them is true, but different angles. Creativity is nothing but having that child alive in you. There is the child even now, but that ego that I am grown up, I am this, I am that, I am educated, all these things are in the unconscious, corrupting and reducing the flow and fluency and sharpness of the sword of your attention. Or the arrow of your attention. The sharpness of your attention. Instead of seeing the sky and the tree and the bird, you have to see the eye of the bird. That is the possibility of attention. Possibility of attention meaning possibility of the intent of attention. When Drona asked the three disciples, one said sky and the bird, tree and the bird. So three orbits. Second one said the bird. Third one, Arjuna said the eye of the bird. That kind of orbits are there for attention. So get into the intent. So see the contrast every day in your work space, for example. Unlike in my case, there are huge variations in context. See? Of course, there is nothing to investigate upon. It is not like a. But look at the people there, the way they are standing, the way they are holding their pens or hands, the way their expressions on their faces. Just like that, observe. Do that, then you will feel the wonder of what you are doing. By the way you respond to them, by the way you understand your own responses. Do it. Then it is kind of a multitask attention. Multitask attention is something different, but multitask in the sense that you will have to look at many other things. Just like that, in your office room. Like what you see in James Bond films, Every day have an observation of your office room. The table, the way it is set, the paper on the table, the placement of the computer on the table, everything. As I told you, nothing new will be known. That is why nobody focus attention. If there is something new, everybody will notice. That new thing is demanding your attention. Something is changed, that will demand your attention. Change, movement, new, color variation, size variation. There are so many factors of attention. That you don't need any training. The system, the survival, attention is a survival sustenance engine. It will automatically notice all the things. What you can do upon that engine, that is the thing. That's what development, We do not live the way we are born. We have trained our hands to write. We have trained our sounding to talk. We have trained our sensitivities to enjoy music or painting or whatever. The elephant never. Be careful going out. Okay. So similarly, attention also has to be trained. Of course, thinking also needs to be trained. Indirectly, I am training your thinking also through these sessions. Training in the sense that I am making you travel through non-normal flow of ideas. That's all. So train your attention by looking into the context. And listen to every piece of dialogue, every item in the dialogue. Whether the other person demands it or not, it is your commitment to your intellect to give a complete answer, correct, complete answer. Because completeness arises from completeness. Elephant is here. Elephant is here. Let me have a look. Just a minute. See, that dog's barking of a special way invited our attention. Then we went there. See? All right. Okay. Attention is the thing.
Mantra saw it from the top.
Yeah, attention. Mantra was upstairs, so she saw that and she came down and she took the torch and almost changed till that end of the building. And at that time it was a little closer, maybe about 100 feet. Then it walked away.
So she chased him.
No. In a way, because she is putting very powerful torch on it. Okay.
Okay. Oh my goodness.
Actually, it is not correct anyway, but the elephant knows us, we think so. Elephant's attention must have noted all the things. Power of attention of the elephant is too much. Anyway, of all animals. Because they have nothing else, They have to survive in a terribly hostile, continuously hostile environment. Our environment is very systematic, very familiar, very controlled. As a result, all our functions are becoming diminishing. Now you see, all the modern technology, modern gadgets are very disappointingly doing all damage to the engines of the human being. I suppose you must have heard about a futuristic writer called Isaac Asimov. He has written about 2030 or 2050. I think all of that will be true. Most of the other ideas already has come true. His attention to the details of whatever was going on at that point of time, from that he could easily sort of interpolate his logical projections, and he could say that. Look at the attention of Michael Nostradamus. Look at the attention of other people. And we also must be able to. Now, when I was sitting in the outside of my house, and when the elephant is just 10 feet away, I pretend that I am not attending to it. Actually, one of the things I did is that. I pretend that I am not aware of it. So that I am in minimum energy. These animals will respond to aggressive energy. It cannot differentiate between what kind of aggression is there. The energy can become very aggressive or turbulent out of fear as well as out of attack mode also. And the animal cannot know whether it is because of fear or because of attack. So we just cool. It is because of so-called training. So all of you are capable of that. That you don't need it anyway. And that is required when you are driving through the main roads and all that. Nowadays it is required. Everybody is driving so carelessly. I am not talking about Australia or Bangalore. In South India, because of the wide roads and all that, people are taking vehicles for granted, speed for granted, and nobody instructs them clearly about how to drive intelligently. They are all just pressing the accelerator and when they see something they brake. And they don't realize the fact that a car, a vehicle in a completely level road with perfect tread and perfect friction on the road, if a sudden brake is applied, it will move 60 meters, just skidding. And they think the tread is good, the brake is good. Anyway, that's a different story. What I am talking about is power of attention will make you alert, will make you the organism full. And as I told you, I am giving a lot of importance. In fact, at least half of the critical rasayanas, their major function is developing the power of attention. They use the word sraddha. Then only I realized, attention is a result of the power of the engines of the system. Because it's an energy. And the body is full of very regular energy supply, the attention also is equally available there. But that is little, what I am talking about, intentful attention is something beyond that, but still, even when there is an intent, you have to get the details, A lot of people, especially people like you in highly responsible positions, will have to have intentful attention to understand a project report or a diagnosis or a project proposal or a critical dialogue or a critical communication to a client and all that. You may read it and reread it and realize what is going on. Personally, if you are not in a good mood, will you be able to know it? For example, same way. So, develop your intent, understand all these things and work out. And the way to train is attention is on one side, you focus your attention on a given thing, a pencil or an object, and next, then focus your attention on the context, not continuously looking etc. like in a film school. Just look here and there, you can always look around, Fully knowing that nothing new is there. Nothing new is there. Your very familiar office room, very familiar home, very familiar people, and maybe very familiar dress of other people also. Very familiar watch with them, very familiar mobile with them, very familiar everything with them. Okay, let it be so. But when you do that familiarized attention, your attention engine is in very slow speed. It is not utilized properly. So unless it is trained properly, it will not function when it is really required. That is a different point. It may not be required. That's okay, good. But what I am telling is, that's why I gave the Rasayanic example. When you train your attention, your body also gets indirectly trained. You are developing the intent of the whole entity. So context. Then focus on the change of context, You understood? Yeah. Like the other day we said, when is morning becoming afternoon? When is afternoon becoming evening? When is evening becoming the twilight condition? So that shift. Morning there were 3 people in your room, now there are 2, now there is nobody. After 15 minutes again another 3 people, then there is a discussion, Be aware of that. Don't just sit there as a automatic, you understood, be there. That is called, somebody talks about be in the present, Eckhart Tolle. This is the way you have to be present. This is the way of every cat, every dog, every bird. Just try to remind yourself. Put some objects or some notice on a table to remind others, you will forget. definitely you will forget in between. So at least whenever you remember, you calibrate yourself to have that intentful attention, that wide open eyes, wide open ears, and the intent to respond to every details of the environment. That's a corroborating thing which is required. Okay, you focus all your attention, but if you take it carelessly, again that's a problem. Like the answer of Tintin to Vinay today. That's another aspect we are coming to. So, attention to and focus your attention. First, we will cover the external aspects. And of course, when you go out, even though you have familiar road, familiar route, unfortunately, most of the city roads are all without any wonders. That's okay, but still, I think. But your attention is more required there in the modern forests of the cities. And modern cities are more dangerous than the conventional forests, I suppose.
You're right, sir. Actually, in fact, people refer to
Yeah.
modern megacities as urban jungles in forests.
Now, very true thing. Anyway, the practical advantage of attention is there. Much more than that is because attention is the centralmost focus of your energy field. That whole body is actually involved in attention. You can see when the posture of the child changes, the entire body is cooperating in attention. Attention is not something very simple. Entire body may get involved in attention, depending upon the focus as well as the intent. So it's an indirect way to train the body also. So focus on the that five components. Now comes the between the external environment and the you. Okay, first we covered. So this is the way you have to redirect, reorient the camera, your direction. You are directing the film of your attention, the acting agent of your attention. Now that in between, the environment and the you. So focus your attention on the way of your expressions. It is not easy. You need real training, like the theatre artists are trained or a so-called actor is capable of. You have to be aware of your facial expressions with people. When you look at the mirror, you correct it, but as soon as you come out of the range of the mirror, it goes back to your ordinary level. So be aware. What should be your facial expression? I mean, your expression itself, expression of the body. Then the way you respond to people and of course, what is your response? Every time you respond in your fullness, focus your attention on your response. And it may be a little difficult for you because you are facing almost familiar people every day. For a political leader it is good because he will be seeing almost every day new people. For a police person it is good. But for you, you may be meeting every day more or less the same people. Therefore, in a way, it is good also to establish your leadership position. They all should see, I have a selfish purpose. All of them should realize that this guy, this girl is somebody very different, They have to be mesmerized by you. Why not? Just like that, like Edmund Hillary said, Everest is there, why not climb? Okay, you are all focused in your promotion, in your job, improvement, etc., etc. And that will automatically happen by this. I know that. I know. I told you my equation. Your path of existence is directly proportional to the level of preparation. It will automatically, it will magically change. When I was teaching at the PhD College of Instrument Management, I had two trainees, Uma Maheshwari and Prasad. So after my training, they dropped out. I mean, after their college, for 2 months or 3 months, they stayed with us. And when she left us, and she got a posting. She got selected at Tata Consultancy Services. And when she was about to go, she came to me and I told her, within 1 year you will be promoted to a significant position. And she had a sardonic laughter. She said, "Sir, you know TCS better than me. It is an ocean." That's the language she used. Along with me, there are 450 people selected. And how can I be somebody in 1 year? I said, you see, let us see. And exactly even before 365 days completed, the very head of TCS Chennai personally chose her to be his secretary. It is not I am not predicting or anything, because such a person will be noticed. When they were to decide who should be the next person, somehow they are all observing. They are all senior managers. They are all observant. That's why he is a CEO. Or a senior manager is a senior manager because of that capacity also. Especially in IT companies, especially in modern organizations. They are all highly trained people or highly competent people. Though they may not know their precise setting of competencies, the selection committee knows these are the competencies of such and such a person. So I know she will get noticed. Similarly, the case of Prasad also, much more mysteriously. What I am talking is, then you become different. Not in a very perceivable way to you or to others, but when things happen, finally it will happen in a different way. That is the beauty of it. And that must happen. Otherwise, what is the power of your engines? Then only you become God's own creation. Otherwise, you are just a raw material. Every human being is nothing but a raw material, unlike the cats and the birds and the earthworms. A great raw material to be evolved into the state of Patanjali. What is that? What is there in Patanjali? Something new? Something which you do not have or I do not have? Never. Not a trace, no doubt. And that's what they also said. Even if they don't say that, I say that. That there is no difference between you and Patanjali, or you and Jesus, or you and Krishna, or you and Buddha, or you and any great human being in the world. Impossible. God is not a political agency which makes some people wonderful and some people stupid. Not at all. Of course, there are other factors. That's so different. We don't look at that factors. Where 50% of children are born out of careless sexual intercourse of useless man and woman. We are not talking about them. We are talking about relatively sensible individuals who respect everything about them, including their sexual intercourse. We are talking about those standard human beings. Everyone is an expression of the so-called wonder of the universe. So, focus on your responses, focus on your expressions, focus on the way you do things. Do it carefully, do it elegantly, do it completely, do it in tune with everything else. Like the Sha no Yu, the Japanese tea ceremony. Let every act be a tea ceremony. With all your attention. Like a dance. Can a dancer on the stage be careless? Not at all. I don't take anything for granted. I tell you, of course, it requires, nothing should be tried by itself, The training for not to take things for granted is elsewhere. This is my another discovery. That any given thing is made out of materials which do not look like the given thing. Get the point? So, whether the given thing is an expression or a response or a behavior or a competency, okay, the primary training should be, let us say, to the mind setting, let us say so. That's why awareness about mind setting and the mental blocks are very critical, which we will come into in much more clear terms in this session. Okay, I mean in this series of sessions. So that was an idea in the last session, but so training for developing that not to take anything for granted attitude has to come from a wisdom of appreciation for existence. A wisdom of appreciation of the fact of death, a wisdom of appreciation of seeing the drama of existence, a transient existence, rather than getting expanded by so many years and things like that. So a lot of wisdom only gives you that automatic consequence, Nitya. Not specific instructions, okay, don't take that person for granted, don't take this pencil for granted. No, it will not work that way. Wisdom. Like the master asked, what would you like to do as the last act on earth? Look at that language, very beautiful. What will be your last act on earth? What will be your attention to that? What will be your dedication to that? What will be your commitment to that? What will be your involvement in that? What will be your firm, correct completeness in every detail so that very last act on this earth, tomorrow you will not be there. That can be given to every act, why not? That's the way every cat is. An appreciation for the wonder and beauty of life. An appreciation for the other person. An appreciation for oneself. Because the first thing not to take for granted is oneself, Nitya. For example, because you mentioned this contest, if you do not take you for granted, really, you cannot take others for granted, other things for granted, because everything that around you in your world is as important as the you, as significant as the you. Those who claim very pride, a lot of proud, arrogant attitude and all that, we think that they do not take them for granted. Actually not so. They are just arrogant and boasting and or egoistic, that's all. That is not what we mean by taking oneself not for granted. That means not to take resolutions and responses and doing and relationships and language for granted. That is what is important. So multitask attention, you have heard of it, then creative attention. These are all names available. Research on creativity and genius say that they are capable of creative attention. It is just a term. What is that? Through their attention they create new insights, new perceptions, new cognitions, new thoughts. That's all. Then they just put a name called creative attention. There is no creative attention per se. When you focus your attention on one thing for a long time, then what will that looking at the thing, looking at it and the looked thing is the same. Then what is varying? What is changing? The act of looking is steady, the looked at thing is steady and stationary, and then what is changing?
Perception.
1, 2. Much more clearly. Perception that it's a pencil may not change, but something is actually going on changing inside you. What is that?
Mental impression
No.
of
That also is the same. That's why we take it for granted. What is constantly changing inside you?
Attention.
No, the thought process.
Yes.
It may remain constant for some time, then definitely there will be some other thoughts coming. About that object, about the pencil you try tomorrow itself. Okay, a lot of changed ideas may be unrelated to that, theoretically, but even that can be related. But for example, when you look at a pencil and thoughts are going on changing, but most of the thoughts, most of the new appearing thoughts may not be that relevant to a pencil, but still, the fact is that the thoughts are actually changing. And there could be some clues, not necessarily about a pen or a pencil, but about an idea, about a read report, or about a situation, or about a context, or about a person, or about an event, or about a phenomenon, or anything under consideration. That's anyway called creative attention, that's all. Attention that creates new perceptions or new thoughts or new insights. Alright? Okay. All this will automatically evolve into you. So, be aware that you can, for point number one, attention needs to be trained. Thinking needs to be trained. Look at, I told you, this is not in the campaign of the world. They talk about training the hands to take the spoon and then operate the computer, or operate the machines and the levers and the spanners and the jet aircraft. Okay, good. Similarly, the thinking can be trained. Attention can be trained. But they do not know how to do it. I am telling the way how to do it. Do it. Then you will get more and more insights. As I told you, get onto the pedal of the attention first day. Maybe the second day, maybe the second week. Then gradually you will be able to get onto the balance of the cycle of your attention. What else will provide variation in the environment, Nitya? How this wonderful world of mankind has been created? Is it ideas read from some book or studied from some university? It is all the results of somebody else's attention to the details of the processes and the systems and the events and the movements and the whatever. So here attention is required to change the phenomena and the entity that is the you. That is what is called genius in self. So finally that point which is mentioned, do not take you for granted. Focus your attention on the process of the you, the expressions of the you, the responses of the you to the world, to the objects and events and situations and contexts and people and relationships. Focus your attention on the language of your writing and your reading and your talking. Focus your attention on attention itself and the ongoing thoughts in the mind. All those philosophers or great thinkers, they focus their attention on their own thinking, their own idea. Ideas can change the world. Before anything happened outside, the first changing was the idea only. And that change idea was tried outside. That's all. How else? Yeah. Topic is over. And if you get time to focus on extrasensory perception, okay, that's all extra activities. That is not required. But What is required is the current competency, current journey. Currently, the dominant aspect of life is your work situation, where you become the real, that is where you become the so-called real leader, a mystic leader, a nature process leader. Whether you get a designation leader or not, people should be coming to you. People should be mystified by you. By your expressions, by your responses, by the way you do things. By the way you relate with them, by the way you look at them even, by the ways of your language. Language is the most critical, as I told you. Any questions? Anything you want to say?
So, is attention meditation?
Yeah, definitely. This I casually mentioned in between. Without the power of attention, without the sharp sword of attention, it might not be possible to cut across the boundaries of our egos and our knowings and our attachments and our rigidities and reach the target. No doubt. No doubt, Naveen.
Yes. So can I ask a question?
Yes, why not? Yes.
So you had mentioned that sometimes with a student who is less competent, the will is there, but he's not able to focus the attention on the subject at hand.
Yes. That's a central nervous system energy deficit.
Okay.
Energy deficit meaning energy tuning. Like the strings of a guitar, individually they are okay. But unless it is tuned, it won't produce music. That's the way with all instruments, even the radio, everything is assembled. Finally, what you call the coil, it's a coil, I forgot the name, that is to be tuned. Everything, even the engine is to be tuned. Everything man-made, everything in the nature is, there's a Tao. The Tao is compulsory. The Tao of the central nervous system is somehow or the other affected. Maybe by inconsistent dealing, inconsistent communication, inconsistent emotions, etc., etc.
So what are the ways of evaluation then? Is it only assigning or any other methodologies?
Other methodologies will take a lot of time. Rasana is the easiest. Because it will unloose, it will sort of dismantle, it will sort of loosen the entanglements of the nervous processes. Because everything is a neuronal network. So, the science will make it sort of like an engine oil. It will loosen the neural networks. It will stabilize, it will service the neuronal engines, that's all. I mean, not all the rasanas meant for that, are meant for that, yes. It is somewhat like you take a lot of liquor, you lose control over your body, your thought process, your orientations, your movements, okay? Because it works on the central nervous system, not because it works on the heart or liver or kidney, no. That is the example, that is the evidence that by biochemical processes, the electrical process of the brain and the central nervous system affected, that's all. Basically the mind is nothing but an electrical field generated by the biochemical processes. That's why mind cannot be located. Whatever we name as mind is nothing but an electrical field. Like the magnetic field which you can notice by some other instruments. So you make a diagram of waves around the poles of the magnet, That is the magnetic field, not the magnet per se. Like the magnetic field for the magnet, the mind for the total magnet of the bone, flesh, blood material. So how a magnet becomes a magnet? By no structural changes. Only the molecules which were in zigzag arrangements became stabilized in a certain linear fashion. That's how the iron base becomes a magnet, just by repositioning of the particles. Attention deficit syndrome. With what communication, what can change it? I don't have any idea. You may need some 3-4 years of rigorous training. Or a so-called mental illness. Even simple neurosis takes years of so-called counseling and all that, psychotherapy. Now what is done? You just give a tablet, it chemically produces some stability or suppression, and then the symptoms are restricted. That's all. Whereas a rasayana can completely cure even schizophrenia. Because mind is the sound of the central nervous system. So the intent of attention and how you exercise your access to that intent by your choice. An external captivating scene, captivating structure stimuli can get all your attention, like a climax scene of a film. That's evidence that there is powerful attention available. Now how that is brought under your intent, that is the question. Do it. That's by doing it. Even when the pencil is inviting no attention from you, you apply your attention for some time. Not to get any new knowing at all, but to train your attention to bring that, to tame that wild horse of your attention. That's all. Yeah. Any questions? Mandra, Rishika?
No, I don't have any questions.
Ganesh, how are you? Lot of time.
I'm good, sir. Not sure if you're able to hear me.
Yeah, very clear.
Okay. So my laptop doesn't work, but my phone works, it looks like.
How is
Very good
your
to see you. Good evening also.
How is your work going on?
Going on, sir. All okay. It's going on. I did have a question.
Okay.
So sometimes we want to stop paying attention to certain things.
Yeah.
We struggle to put an end to that attention. So how do we do that?
You are not putting you are not trying to put an end to attention. You are trying to put an end to that particular thought process. Okay.
Yes. So
Yeah.
I'm attending to that thought.
So
and
then then the way is of course attention. You focus your attention on something else. Take it and consciously go before that. Change the setting, change the context, change the episode, and no, definitely no, there won't be any immediate result because there is a velocity of that ongoing thought process. Autonomic nervous system and the emotions are involved there. In most of such thought process, the emotion is involved. So autonomic nervous system is involved. Take a sip of water, then walk out, get out of the context or the situation, and within maximum 2-3 minutes, definitely it will be gone. But if you in between check whether it is gone or not, it won't work. Because every time you check it, again it comes back to your attention field. That is one thing you have to be very clearly aware. Just be, you are aware that the thought is still there and it will pull you, but to forcibly focus your intent on something else. After some time, allow 2-3 minutes of that velocity to proceed. This is the way, and very patiently allow the new stimulus to be undertaken by your attention, and definitely it will change, no doubt about that. But it may come again sometimes. But then, as I told you, there are the other wisdom, wisdom and understanding. The overall mind setting is the thing. So everything is not by only one thing. There are other linkages to be considered. What is that topic? Why that topic was able to capture you? What is the ultimate validity of that topic? So that general wisdom, that's why that philosophic mystic wisdom is the culminating thing.
Some things that helped.
When that wisdom is there, in that wisdom of existence, in that clarity that entire life is nothing but a passing transient phenomenon, then all these things become absolutely unimportant. All attachment will lose its validity to disturb you, to capture you and to defeat you. Don't get defeated, that's all, finished. There are other things like, you shall not be defeated by a simple thought process. A thought, okay, reality may be there very solidly outside. That is there. But how come when that reality is not really present, a thought about it can disturb you? A lot of logics can be applied, created and maintained, and definitely it can be managed, not a doubt about that. It is definitely possible. Yes,
Right, so thank you.
Yes, Nitya?
Yeah, Nitya, you were saying something. Please.
No, what I wanted to say was something that I tried is like if I go for a drive or for a long walk, most of the time it has helped to.
Don't say long walk, I go for a walk. Okay.
I go for a walk, yeah.
That's something you have to be clear, because the audience, you're talking to Ganesh, it's okay. But you are giving it an idea to some other person that long may become a block. Okay.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, drive, obviously.
Change the setting possibly with some doing.
Yeah, I think I get the point. Because your attention is available all the time, it has to focus on something. You can't switch off attention.
Attention is
And
the...
being able to switch off attention would be able to then be in emptiness, do you think? Is it possible to switch off attention?
Switching off attention is possible only by sleeping.
Thought so.
Even in sleeping it is not completely switched off. Somebody calls you, there is a noise, there is a sound, you will get up. Because it is drawn by sensation, Ganesh. Organic sensation. It is a central nervous system function. Everything is a central nervous system function. So if there is an organic stimulus impinging upon your senses, attention will be triggered. Nothing can be done about it.
Yeah.
Otherwise it will be a dead body.
Got it.
So it may also be possible that we pay attention long enough and then the body gets exhausted at the end and then you sleep as well in some instances.
And that also is possible.
Just like the A
But
fly
by-
captured
but-
in a tent or something, like it flies around looking for the exit, it won't find, but at the end it just, rest and then just wait for the opening next day or something to escape.
Yeah, you create your own theories, develop your own theories and trust it and focus your attention on the theory and its validity. Each one of you must be a researcher and a philosopher. Philosopher making your own theories. Do not wait for somebody else's validation. If that theory explains what you do, then that's all about it. Because there is nobody else like you in the whole history of mankind. So it is inevitable that you should have your own body of knowledge and wisdom and theory that explains existence to you, events and the phenomena inside your mind as well as outside. Be bold enough to create that theory. And if it works for you, it can work for others also to a great extent. Sometimes it may look funny even to you. Don't bother. It should be internally consistent, that's all. It should be working.
It's 23:30.
Yes, Parvati?
I think I will be discussing with you my experiences with new areas of attention.
Alright, Tintin, nice of you to take a break from the party you have. There is no complaint from other people that you are not with them.
Every Saturday they know I disappear.
Okay, so it's okay. Okay, Naveen, Vinay, Ganesh.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Good night, everybody.
Good night. Good night, all.
Good morning again.
Good morning. It's 4 o'clock here.
Have a beautiful sleep, focusing your attention on what is going to sleep. Attention is the tool. Attention is the bow and arrow. First the sky may disturb you, the tree may disturb you, the bird may disturb you, but keep the focus of the topic of your attention, the bird's eye. Insist. It is possible. Insisting your attention on the bird's eye is definitely possible. But don't insist that at that point of time the sky shall not be there, the tree shall not be there, etc. They are there. But gradually you will develop the experience that even when the sky and the tree and the bird is there, you will see only the eye. No doubt. Because that's the power of your engines, that's why. It needs some training, that's all. Like when a cycle needs a little bit of an attempt, So give that attempt and try the impossibles. And try the limits of your possible source.